We have a pretty basic trust in humanity. So we know there's bad people out there, but we do not care where you're from, what your political view, or the color of your skin. We just like people.
Life Reimagined with Stacey Ray.
Before we hear about Sandy and Ellie's travels, don't forget to like, subscribe, share, and follow us so you never miss an episode of Life Reimagined. I am thrilled to introduce you to Sandy Hazlip and Ellie Hamby, affectionately known as the Traveling Nanas. They embarked on an extraordinary journey titled Around the World at 80, where they traveled across all 7 continents in just 80 days. And throughout their trip, they visited 18 countries and 9 wonders of the world. So they are here to talk about their brand new book, Here We Go, Lessons for Living Fearlessly from 2 Traveling Nanas. And I'm going to tell you, it's a must read. And in fact, the Audible version will be narrated by Sandy and Ellie. So welcome, ladies. I'm thrilled to see you.
Hi, how are you?
I'm good. Well, first, I think I have to take attendance. So when I call your name, raise your hand.
Okay.
Sandy and Ellie, it is so nice to meet you. Girls after my own heart.
Thank you.
Yes. So, wow. Your adventure is the adventure to beat all adventures. in my opinion.
Thank you.
Yes.
We
it
Yeah.
is. And, I'm an avid traveler. I've been traveling my entire adult life. But your adventure, oh my gosh. So, first of all, you ladies have been friends for what, over 20 years?
Over 20 years now. We were basically 60 years old when we met. I am now 84, and Ellie is almost 84.
Yeah. We became best friends at 60, so it's never too late to have a best friend.
No, it's not. That's what my company is all about is, bringing women together to travel and make new friends. So you decided at what point that you were going to go on this adventure, and why did you do it?
Well, Ellie and I had made some other international trips back when we were young in our late 60s and early 70s. But in anticipation of turning old, getting to be 80 years old, I
Uh-huh.
just mentioned to Ellie one evening, wouldn't it be fun to go around the world in 80 days at age 80? So Ellie is the organizer. We had every hotel reservation made, every airline reservation made, and COVID shut it down that year. But COVID didn't shut us down. So we made the trip the following year, and our new theme was Around the World
in 80 days at 81 and still on the run.
Oh, I love that. I love it. And then you're like 82 and we're not through, right?
Right.
And 83 with more to see.
And we're getting ready for 84, but we don't have a slogan yet.
Well, tell me what that was like to plan like all of your own arrangements, like hotels. That can be very tricky because, you're going from place to place in this. I mean, you had 80 days worth of hotels.
We did.
Right.
Absolutely. Average hotel was how much, Sandy?
The average hotel for the whole 80 days was $29 a piece per night, and that usually included breakfast the next
Absolutely.
morning.
Oh, stop it.
And
No.
one particular hotel was $13 a night
per night.
in Cairo, Egypt. But on the rooftop of that, we overlooked the pyramids.
Oh,
And we could watch the light show free because we're big budget travelers. But how did we get to that hotel, Sandy?
The taxi dropped us off in the alley,
Yeah.
and I said, we get to our hotel walking down the alley. He said, oh, yeah, you'll see a gate. Just rattle the gate, and they'll let you in.
oh my God, that's hilarious.
In Cairo, Egypt. And it was just a family home, 6 stories. And the brothers, the parents had died. The brothers turned it into an inn. And it was great. But it's $13.50 per person per night with breakfast.
Wow. So let me ask you this. So you like to travel on a budget, which I think is always wise, but what is your standard of budget versus
Yeah.
where you're willing to stay?
Right.
Okay, we have a
Okay.
very simple way that we go about doing. We basically use booking.com. They should hire us, but I don't think they
Yeah,
even know
right.
anything about us. But in anyway, so we go on an online company that does, reservations. Number one, location. When we're looking for any kind of booking, the location is the most important thing. Because it's no
Absolutely.
good to be in Timbuktu when you need to be uptown.
Correct.
And so even though everything would be wonderful out there, it doesn't work. So number one, we sort by
Okay.
location. Number two, by rating. We try to stay at an 8 or above. We have dipped down to a 7. So now we have everything. We have the location, we have the rating, and then we sort by price. And then we start cheapest, but then we don't always take the cheapest one because
Right.
it may be
Sure.
exactly not fit exactly our needs.
Right.
We have been so successful with that.
Yes.
We have not had a bad experience yet.
Well, now that's remarkable because I'll tell you, I spend a lot of time in luxury hotels,
Yeah.
5-star hotels,
Uh-huh.
and you can have a bad experience
Oh, yeah.
there.
Right.
So,
Definitely. But Sandy and I are pretty laid back and we're pretty easy to please. So we're not uptight travelers whatsoever. If we've got a clean bed and friendly host, we're great.
so do you prefer non-chain hotels? Obviously, you like family-run hotels.
Right.
We basically family owned inns. Rarely are we staying really in a hotel.
A hotel,
B and
right?
B's, family owned inns are probably our favorite. Hostel like accommodations and that sort of thing. And honestly, what Sandy and I found, how do we meet our best friends?
When we stay in the local places.
Yeah, the
Yes.
managers
Right.
and the staff, we're kind of special. That's okay with us. I
Yes.
mean, they take care of, hey, what do you suggest we do? Whatever. We always ask them to arrange a car and a driver if that is within our budget. And we generally book our activities through where we're staying because we ask their advice because they're going to know the best company and that company is going to want to please because they want to keep getting
To keep
references.
getting
So
the business.
yeah.
Have you ever worried that they would steer you wrong? Have you ever
Oh
felt
no.
like a little yeah.
No, never
We
felt that way.
we have a pretty basic trust in humanity. So we know
Oh,
there's bad people out there, but
I love
we're
that.
okay. Nobody's really taken. I mean, a couple of taxi drivers get but
But that was
taxis.
from the airport. That was not the hotel that
No, nothing
Right.
hotel range, but
Right? Yeah.
airport taxi drivers or just picking up a taxi on the street can be a bit challenging sometimes.
Do you also fly budget? Like
Oh,
in economy or
oh, absolutely.
always.
yeah.
Oh, don't we wish we were going first class?
Yeah. Yeah.
But budget travelers, we can't afford that now. Nowadays, since we've flown a lot, every so often,
We get
we
upgraded.
get upgraded and we're just like little two kids in a candy store. Whoa, this
Isn't
is
that the
fun.
best when you find out you're like, "Oh my gosh, I
Upgraded.
got
Yeah.
upgraded." But now I heard a little rumor that you love the trains
We
We do.
and you
Yes.
love second class seating.
Oh
And
yes.
I want to talk
Always.
about that because I love your reason. Love it.
Yeah. So actually, Sandy, why we like second class is because
We meet the people, the
that's
locals, and get
not
acquainted.
the
Right.
tourist. We're meeting local people because the
Yes.
tourists are all in first class. Okay, we got that
Right.
one.
Yeah.
And we did the Gone train across the Outback. Well, just one night because that's all we could afford because there's no second class on the Gone
There's no,
train.
that's an expensive train. Yeah.
And then Sandy and I, afterwards, we said that was so interesting. We only met people at dinner, and that was it.
Right.
Oh, not on the
You've got your little
train.
private whatevers, but we
Yeah.
love the openness of second class.
Yes.
What's your greatest story about being on the train?
Tell it.
Okay. This is Pajama Man on the Trans-Siberian, okay? So
Okay.
Sandy and I took second class Trans-Siberian, the longest train ride, and we stopped at Lake Baikal. And when we got on in Moscow, I mean, second class was packed.
was so
and
fun.
with Chinese, with Russian people.
Oh, we
And
loved it.
they would come in and out of our compartment. We just had more fun.
Right.
And Sandy had her lingo machine. That was really back before Google. You could just really
Oh,
do it
wow.
easy.
Yeah.
And we'd chit chat or whatever. And every so often they could speak English. And it was just a party time, and it was so really fun. Then we stopped at Lake Baikal, and then for 3 days, and then we get back on the Trans-Siberian, Trans-Mongolian at that
Trans-Mongolian.
time, and we
In
get
our
in
compartment,
a car.
in our whole car,
It was empty.
we were the only ones.
We couldn't see anyone else. We thought, wow, this went from fun to boring. And so we get to the border at Mongolia, and they come on and ask for passports. And then pretty soon we hear passport.
Down the aisle a little way, we heard them ask
I said, well,
passports again.
Sandy, there must be somebody here. We've never seen anyone. We've been 8 hours on this train, and there's no sign of life. And so, being very curious, I go walking down the aisle, and this door is open, and there's a man, a Russian man, it sort of looked like, in pajamas on the bed. His hair is disheveled. He's not engaging at all. Whenever I kind of smile, then I quickly just turn around and go back. Okay, I said, okay, Sandy, the only thing's there is Pajama Man. Well, then about 30 minutes later, we hear all this commotion. And we look out, and what do we
We
see?
still stopped at the stop.
Yeah, we're at the
Oh,
train
you still at the
station.
place. Yeah, okay.
Oh, no, well, that train station was stuck there many
Right.
hours because of this problem.
Yeah.
So what did we see whenever we looked out in the hallway?
The authorities were taking down ceiling tiles.
Everything. That it was a KGB, and they were, in Pajama Man's compartment, okay?
Oh
And
my
so
gosh.
they were obviously searching for something. And so then pretty soon there goes Pajama Man in handcuffs with the KGB. So, okay, off the train. All right, we're innocent, we have no problem. Then guess what? Pretty soon here they come, knocking on the door. We need to search your compartment. Well, of course, we knew we didn't do anything, but we didn't know if Pajama Man had stashed something in our
Right.
room. Oh, who knows? And so what do they do in our room?
Take down ceiling tiles,
Go
go through our luggage.
under mattresses, you name it, they searched the place. Could not find
Oh
anything.
my goodness.
Then we get a knock on the door about another 15, 20 minutes later, and this big burly, a KGB, looking like female, in her fur cap and her green big fur
The
coat. And
Siberian
she's standing
outfit,
there
yeah.
like she's really the person in charge. And she says, "You are the only witnesses to the crime."
Wait,
And I
what?
said,
What
crime?
And she says,
Dog. She had very broken English.
Yeah.
It was something that goes in a gun, big.
and I said, a bullet?
Yeah.
Dog.
So
big
something
bullet.
to do with both. But she said then, you must come to testify. We say we know nothing, but what the KGB tells you, and they
want all of our
Yes,
information.
we must have all of your information so we can contact you to come and testify. Of course, we know nothing about the crime that happened.
Crime. The bullet.
A murder on the Trans-Siberian, who knows? It involved a bullet. So
Right.
I said we were kind of like two little American singing birds. We just told them everything. If they wanted our email address, they gave it. We are not fooling around with the KGB. They're in charge, okay? Well, guess what?
That was how many years ago?
A long time ago.
And they haven't called.
They haven't
us
called
yet.
us yet.
yet.
No, they never called. But we never know the crime that was committed that we were the only witness to. But that was our first trip.
That was our first trip
Big.
together internationally besides our mission trip.
Trips, yeah.
Oh, okay.
And we literally realized, hey, we can do this. Neither one was in tears.
We didn't get upset. We weren't wringing our hands,
We just kind of let it go with the flow because our train was delayed because of the crime for at least 8 hours. And finally, at the very last minute, they came back. They had our passports.
Yeah.
They kept our passports.
Oh.
And so we knew they weren't, surely the train was not going to leave until they gave us back our passports, because
Sure.
I'm sure they did a big background check on us.
Oh, sure.
Whatever.
Yeah.
And I mean, the minute that the band officer walked off, the train started.
Oh, wow.
So
Well,
that was a pretty good adventure.
you clearly live by my philosophy, which I say all the time.
Uh-huh.
What's the difference between an adventure and an obstacle?
Yeah, right. That's right.
Attitude.
It's absolutely, that's what
Right?
we've said over and over again. Yeah,
That's
just
right.
whatever the
Go with
outcome
it.
might be, it may not be what you really planned, but you're
Right.
gonna manage through it all one way or the other.
And enjoy the moment.
That's right.
That's a whole thing. I always say that, like, so if your plane is delayed, do you have control over this? No, you do
Yeah,
not.
that's right.
So you can have a meltdown there in the airport and get all hysterical, or you can walk around or talk to someone or go get a bite or a drink or whatever, because you can't control it, right?
That's
right.
exactly our
That's why
philosophy.
that's why we can travel well together, because we just enjoy the moment. What happens next is what happens next.
Right.
And
Exactly.
we've been, that wasn't our most dangerous situation by any means. We were in
Oh,
Syria when the war started. We were sleeping in a Bedouin tent in the Syrian desert the night the war started. And we had just left Damascus 2 hours before, and we had gone by the big square 2 hours before people started gathering in the protest, and some people were killed. And we had just left there,
Right.
taking we did a public buses through Syria.
right.
And that was
Wow.
fun. It
Okay.
was fun. They're great. They were great.
Yeah.
And we went to Palmyra, which is 5 hours from Damascus, rode a camels for 3 hours in the desert with a little Bedouin boy who spoke no English. But actually, Sandy,
Aw.
we really didn't ride. You didn't ride
I
camels.
didn't ride for 3 hours.
Mm.
I rode for 15 minutes, and I said, Ellie, I can walk in this desert for 3 hours more easily than I can ride this
Than riding
camel.
on that
So
clump,
yeah,
clump,
so I
clump. Yeah.
so the little Bedouin boy could not speak English, but I said hello, and he turned around, and I said,
Me down. So tell me about Syria. What happened?
Well, what happened was we did not know the night of the Bedouin tent what was going on when we were
Right.
there. And then the next morning, we left in a vehicle, not in camels.
camel again.
And we could
Okay.
tell the two Arab men were just talking in a really excited, anxious tone. We
Yeah.
knew something was kind of unsettling in their conversation. So we decided to go to an internet cafe.
After we got settled in our hotel.
Yeah, so
Oh, okay.
see if there's something going on. And we go there, and my friend who's from the university, who's a political science professor, and he had told us before we went to Syria, he said, "Oh, don't worry about Syria. Bashar al-Assad was ruling that with an iron fist." Well,
Right.
okay, that didn't happen. And so he had sent us the New York Times saying, "Look, this is what
Happening in Syria.
as in Syria." Well, we're in Palmyra. Is that just a one and done thing? And that's just that unrising. So we're okay here.
Right.
And
We didn't know if it was all over the whole country or just
Right.
you
Just
know,
right there.
and
Yeah.
did it just happen one day? Because, wars don't just say today the war is starting, incidents lead up to it.
Sure.
And so then after a day or two, we realized this is not going away. This is bad. And we need to get to Jordan. Muhammad is the man. We'd read about Muhammad. He's the one who booked us into the Bedouin tents. I had read somewhere on the internet,
Yeah.
if you want to stay in a Bedouin tent, non-touristy, contact Muhammad at this email address. So
Okay.
we wrote Muhammad at that
Oh,
email
wow.
address, and he was our lifesaver. He was no problem Muhammad, is what we
Right.
called him. And because he would always say,
Right. And we stayed in his hotel.
Oh, yeah, we
Got out
stayed in
of the
his.
desert.
Oh, okay.
And so we go up to him and say, "Okay, Muhammad, we need to leave. And what we need to pay you, we need to get some money. And where's an ATM?" And Muhammad said, "No ATM in Palmyra." "Oh, okay, Muhammad, take credit card." "Oh, no, we don't take credit card in Palmyra." He said, "Well, Muhammad, we got a problem. We got to pay you. We've got to figure out how to get to Jordan because we're flying out of Amman. and we have no money.
No
and,
Syrian money.
and American money is gone too, and not enough to pay. And so he said, well, here's what we'll do. There is an ATM machine in Damascus in the old square. And now this is where people are being killed, okay? As soon as it
Yes.
started, and it's going on daily. And he said, I'll send my driver, another Muhammad, with you at 4 in the morning. And we're going to drive. He'll drive you there, and you'll get there before
The shooting
the
started.
shooting starts. It's basically it's hard to make light of a tragedy
I
that was
know,
so
but
horrible, but really they weren't ready to get going on all the stuff.
right.
So we get in the car. Now we are actually camping. Our tent in Palmyra is like 95 miles from Iraq, okay? And this is during all
Okay.
that turmoil. And so we get in the vehicle. We drive all the way to Damascus. We get to Damascus, and there is the square, and all these guys with their AK-47s just lined up around it. And we're thinking, what is going to happen? Our driver says, stay in the car. We always trust the locals, okay? We stayed in the car, and he got up and he was talking to two of them, and they talked for maybe 10 minutes. The guy, all of a sudden, one of them turned on a big smile, put his AK-47 down on the ground, motioned for us to come, and we ran through there. And what did we do?
We went to the ATM machine.
Yeah, and when our money came out, we were just
And
shocked.
money came out.
It absolutely came out. That was some angel out there. The Lord's not done with us yet.
Right.
And so we got our money, and then Mohammed said, now there will be a white unmarked car on the side of the road. The door will be open and a man will be standing by the open door. When you see a white unmarked car on the side of the road, door open, man standing, you get in. And we did.
And it would take us to Jordan.
And that car was going to take us through the border into Jordan, out of Syria.
I'm going to tell you something. If I was a screenwriter, I'd be making all my notes to write a screenplay about that trip. Oh my gosh. So, were you even a little
Yeah.
bit nervous, like getting the unmarked white car with?
Not really, because we had
No.
confidence in Muhammad.
Yeah. Muhammad was the ranger.
And when we got our money, we gave a bunch of money back to the driver to give
To Muhammad.
Muhammad. And then we had the money that he told us we needed to pay to the driver. So we were putting our lives in our hands of Muhammad. And we had become friends with Muhammad. When we got
Right.
to his hotel, he said, first, we must have tea, because in our culture, you just don't come to my hotel and go to your room.
Right.
So we had tea with Muhammad. We heard about his girlfriend.
Right.
Yeah.
And so we had pretty good confidence. It's really tragic now because we don't know what's happened to all those wonderful
Right,
people
that
that
we
we
met.
met
I
in
know.
Syria.
I
So,
know.
but we got out of the country. We got to the border. We passed Dara. It was burning. It was the first city to really burn. We could see the smoke. We get to the border, and the driver says, stay in the car. Takes our passports. We never gone through a passport control without us getting out and them looking at us, but they never did. I don't know what he did inside there, but we paid him
Right.
about $50 whenever he came back out with an exit from Syria and an entry into Jordan, and we were good for it. So we could travel
Wow.
together. Give us an adventure. You were.
No kidding. What's the favorite country that you've ever been to?
You tell
Not
me.
necessarily even country, place. You
Okay.
probably each have a
When
different
we
one.
traveled around the world, we loved
Right.
all of it. But my favorite place was the beautiful island of Bali. Oh, it's just one beautiful garden after another after another. I just loved it.
I'm actually going in October. I
Oh.
cannot wait.
Good for
It-
you.
Yeah, we have a group going. It's going to be amazing.
Oh,
Yeah.
that is great.
Yeah, and how about you, Ellie?
The Antarctic. Antarctica is. Yeah, I
you
saw
like
your
it?
shirt.
Yeah.
Have you been, or are you going?
Yes, I've been. I
Yeah.
would go back constantly if I could.
Yes.
We did an expedition cruise. Is that what
That's
you
what we
did?
did. Oh, yeah. Expedition
And you did
cruises are the
flying
only
through
way.
Drake's Passage, huh?
Oh, my goodness. We have another story on that one, didn't we, Sandy?
Boy, do we.
Yeah, we were eating, right, Sandy?
Yes.
What happened?
The ship went,
when it had a big
Oh, it
wave,
lifted.
it tilted all inside, all the food, all the cutlery, dishes, breakables came, and Sandy and I were actually, unfortunately, not smart at the window on both sides.
And so everything came down on our side.
Oh
But
my
we
God.
survived.
So you were in Drake's quake. My
Yeah.
goodness.
Oh, absolutely. We had the
Yeah.
Drake shake.
Yeah.
Or quake or whatever, probably the
Quake.
quake.
Yeah, I think quake is beyond shake
Yes.
because,
Yeah.
you know, but and what did you love most about
I
Antarctica?
think standing there, it's kind of like a Wizard of Oz moment.
Yes.
It
It's so
just is. And
surreal, right?
particularly, I think the moment standing at the ship, in front of the ship, I was up there by myself, the expedition ship that holds about 60 people. Yeah. And standing there and seeing it all coming into view, and then be able to actually stand on the ground in the Antarctic
I know.
and see it. It's just a moment so different than any other experience one can
Yeah.
have.
I agree with you 1,000%. And I always tell people because some of them, I've met people say, "Yeah, we're going to Antarctica." And I go, "Well, how are you going?" And they go,
Right.
"Well, I'm going on XYZ cruise line." And I
Yes.
go,
Uh-huh.
"No, you're doing a drive-by. You're
You're
gonna
exactly
wait
right. That's we
on
tell
stuff."
people the same thing.
Right.
We're doing the real deal in the Zodiac. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. And so have you been to the Arctic or just
Yeah.
Yes,
Antarctica?
we've been to the Arctic
Where did
Circle.
we go from Antarctica,
Yeah.
Sandy?
Arctic
Directly to
Circle.
the Arctic Circle.
Svalbard?
We went
Like
to Lapland.
Finland.
I've been to Lapland. You know what? I just took my granddaughter. She's 19. I just took her in January.
Oh,
fun.
wonderful.
It was the most fun
Oh,
ever.
that is great.
And my favorite part was the snowmobiling in the dark. So that was wonderful. What was your favorite part, Sandy?
Yeah, you tell them what our
Well,
ride.
we took a husky sleigh ride through the
Yes.
forest.
Yes.
4 miles. I
Yes.
mean, it was cold, bitter cold, and so
I
fun.
know. It was
Uh,
the best, right? Did you see the Northern Lights?
oh,
Yes, we did.
absolutely.
Yes, we did.
Absolutely. The greatest guide that you could ever have that we found
Yeah.
from we were staying in a hostel in Rovaniemi. Or
Yeah.
I'm probably not pronouncing that correctly. And because that was an expensive place to stay. And they found us a really, really super, super organization that we saw the lights with.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Now, have you been on safari?
Oh,
Oh, yeah.
okay. I have a home in Africa in Zambia.
Oh,
So I lived there for 6 years.
okay.
And we were missionaries there. And that's how Sandy and I met, was
I-
through
as a-
humanitarian service in
I'm a
Zambia.
physician, so I went as a doctor on the medical mission trip.
That's how we first
went-
met.
And I went every
Oh,
other
my
year
God.
for 20 years.
Wow.
So yeah, our experience is very odd how we became friends, because we really became friends in Zambia, Africa.
That's amazing.
And then I'm a photographer, particularly a wildlife photographer.
Oh,
Like
wow.
in Zambia, I have a line of postcards, and probably the largest seller of postcards in the country of my
Really?
wildlife photography.
Really?
So yes, so and we're not far at all from lots of wonderful game reserves, and it's not unusual to have elephants walking in the area where my home is.
Oh my goodness. So do you still spend like several months a year there or?
Well, actually, not as much this year because of our book,
I know. I want to talk about it.
but generally 2 to 3 months. And sometimes I'll go during the year, but things have been kind of hectic since that around the world trip.
So, what made you decide to write the book?
We did not decide. Other people contacted us. When we got back from our around the world trip, we were contacted by a literary agent from New York City who was a former vice president of Simon and Schuster. She said, "I have been reading about you all, and I'm an agent. I really believe this needs to be a book." We checked her out. We signed with her, which is great. Lori Bernstein, she's amazing, amazing. We started writing a book with a ghostwriter, because she told us that 99% of all nonfiction books are written with a ghostwriter. And so she helped us. We interviewed a couple. We got one that we did the proposal. Then we were working on the proposal, right, Sandy?
Uh-huh.
And then we were,
Featured
yes. And then
in,
the
in,
new,
in
yeah,
the
go
New
ahead.
York Times.
So we had the feature in the New York Times Sunday edition. And then that week, the executive editor from Penguin Random House, the #1 publishing company in the world, contacted us and said, the world needs this voice. And we would love to do a book. And so, of course, working out things with the agent, we signed a very nice contract with the Penguin Random House.
Very
And
nice.
so that's what made us decide to write a book, because we were asked to.
Right.
And
You've been all over TV. I mean,
yeah.
you're wildly popular all over
Yes.
the place. Do you like being called the traveling grannies?
No.
Yeah, I didn't think
No,
so.
actually, the book, if you notice, it calls us the
Not
Nana,
Nanas.
because we're both called Nanas, and we're preferring that. And we decided on the book because sometimes we're called that. Our latest
Yeah.
trip, when we did Oceania, we did the logo, the Traveling Nanas.
You know, I have this thing that I do every trip that I take. I have a rule for myself, and I've been traveling, like I said, my entire adult life. But I have to do something that scares me or something I've never done before.
Mhm.
Wow.
Mhm.
And it's my rule. And so,
Well, you and Ellie would travel well together.
yeah. Well, you know what's funny? Sometimes it could be something really simple. So I'll tell you what I'm going to do. I've been to over 90 countries, but I kept putting off Australia. And it's
Oh.
like, I'll get there, I'll get there, I'll get there. So in December, I'm going, and I have a problem with heights. I'm very fearful of heights, but I'm going to climb the
Oh,
Sydney
that
Harbour
bridge.
Bridge.
Good
And
for
I'm going to
you.
hold my little
you.
7 sign up and say, been there, done that.
Yeah, that's
So,
great. Uh-huh.
yeah.
Australia is a great place, and we have a huge following in Australia. We were on live on one morning show, and then on the other two big morning shows
Yeah.
out of Australia. So it's been a real fun place for us. We've been there twice now. We went on
Oh,
around the
have
world,
you?
and then the Oceania. We just stopped in Brisbane for 2 or 3 days.
Right.
Yeah, that we're actually gonna fly round trip Brisbane from LA because it's a nonstop, and then we'll hop on a short flight over to
Yeah.
Sydney.
Right.
But
Hmm.
there's so much more ahead right after the short break.
You may think this is just a trip. Some sunshine, maybe a glass of wine, a break from your routine. But be warned, you're not on this trip alone. Sisters are closer than they appear. Over there is a woman who's never turned down a dance floor or a dare. Here is a woman who likes the same weird cocktail you like. Right next to you is a woman who hasn't laughed like this in years. Somewhere between shared meals, shared stories, and shared silence, something shifts. You leave not just as friends, but as sisters. The kind that sneak into your heart and stay there. Find your sisters at sisterhoodtravels.com. Just remember, we warned you.
Picking right up where we left off. So, in your travels, and this is my big thing. I'm a firm believer that travel doesn't just teach you about other people, it teaches you who you really are.
Right.
Oh, yes. Hmm.
But with that said, one of the joys of travel for me is meeting people around the world, because I came to the conclusion a long, long time ago in my life, probably when I was a kid. I believe everybody is exactly the same. People are
Yes,
people
absolutely.
by chance of birth. It's regardless of whether your culture is different. We all cry the same. We laugh the
Mhm.
same.
Right.
We want the same things.
Right.
And when you say you believe in the good of humans,
Goodness, humanity, yes.
it makes my heart swell, because I see too many people when they travel, they want to make judgments and say, well, in the United States, we blah, blah, blah.
No,
Well,
no, we never do that. We are very cautious
no,
about that.
I don't understand, like, why you just came here if you think it should be like the United States.
I
Number one.
agree.
Mhm.
Right.
But what do you say to, because I have my company that we work with women over 45, and we travel all over the world so that
Mhm.
women can connect and make friends. What do you say to women who are hesitant or fearful of traveling, because sometimes I think they're scared of the news?
Right.
that's usually not accurate. So, what advice would you give them to step out of that?
Well, one of the things that really, you just have to open your heart. If you open your heart to that person standing across from you and you smile, Sandy and I, the people ask us, how many foreign languages do you speak? Zero. We're embarrassed, but really, that's it. But we have a universal language, and that's a smile. And I
That's
guarantee
right.
you
Right.
that opens people's hearts.
Yes,
Right.
it
And
does.
just have a confidence. We have this one story in Japan. Can I tell you that one about?
Yes,
It was
please.
our first week. We're at the Shinjuku train station. We want to get a ticket to Mount Fuji. Now, Shinjuku is the world's busiest train station. 3.5 million people go through there every day.
Yes.
Well, 3.4999 whatever knew
Where
where they were going, but Sandy and I
Sandy and
couldn't.
Ellie didn't know.
And we
Wanted to go to Mount.
we just wanted to get a ticket to Mount Fuji.
Right.
We couldn't find anybody to speak English. We couldn't find anything
Written in
written.
English. No.
And so we have our t-shirts on and we're standing there. And this young man comes up and he says, I know you. He was about 28, 30 years old. We said, you know us? He said, yes. I'm Ziggy from Slovenia, and I just read about you in the London Daily Mail. And now here we are in Japan together. And it looks like you're having a problem. And what did we say? We are.
Oh,
And so, you know what Ziggy did after we told him our problem? He said, ladies, what I had to do today was just not that important. I'm going to make sure you all get your ticket to Mount Fuji. And that's what Ziggy did. And Ziggy will live forever in our hearts.
Don't you love that
oh,
story?
I love that
Yes.
story more than you could possibly know. See, I do believe in the kindness of strangers. I really do. And I agree with you. The universal language is a smile,
You're right,
right?
absolutely.
And I bet that if people didn't let their fear stop them from living,
Mhm.
oh my gosh, what a global, beautiful community we would really
We would
have,
have, yes.
right?
Right.
hmm
So, how did you get involved in mission work?
Well, Ellie, tell how you got involved, and then I'll tell how I got involved.
Okay.
Actually, my husband was a professor at the university in Abilene Christian University,
Okay.
and we always had been involved in any kind of humanitarian and faith-based services and stuff. And then we had the opportunity to go to Zambia for a school. Then they were looking for a headmaster at this school. And so we decided, my husband gave up his full tenured professorship and we moved to Africa. And at first I told him, I don't think I want to go. But
Yeah.
once I got there, met the people and all that. And so that's how we lived there for 6 years. Then we continued to be involved in the work. And then after we'd come back, he and I had started a medical mission with some other doctor, a friend of ours. And so that's how we got involved in the medical mission. And so that's how I got involved. And I have been in Zambia every year since 1980, except for the 2 years of COVID.
Wow.
And but I have been there every July. I've not been in July in over 30 some years. So that's how I got involved. And then of course Sandy, then you tell her, and then I'll finish up with the issue with my husband.
Okay. We had a visiting missionary at our church. And when we
Mhm.
got home from church that evening, my husband said, Sandy, we had 3 grandsons at the time. And he said, we ought to start taking our grandsons on mission trips in the summer. Well, I'm a busy doctor. I don't have time for mission trips, but I didn't say that to my husband.
Right.
And I looked at him and I said, what kind of mission trips? And he said, well, I don't know, honey, but I'm sure there's something we could do that would be a benefit to the missionary. And it would be a great experience for our grandsons.
Right.
Well, he had planted that seed, and shortly thereafter, he became ill and he died.
Oh,
Yes. And at that time, my practice was in Eastland, Texas, a little town. Back in those days, we were the emergency room doctors, the
Yeah, you were-
hospitalist doctors. We
you
were
were
everything.
everything. Yeah.
But we had just started getting weekend emergency room doctors to give us a break. So one weekend, when it was my turn to be on call for my group, I went through the emergency room to introduce myself to the young ER doctor. And I said, if you need anything this weekend, I'm on call, or if you need to admit a patient, I'm on call. And I said, and listen, we appreciate your being here so much, and hope you'll come real often. And he said, well, thank you. He said, I cannot be here next weekend. You see, I'm going to a medical missions workshop in Dallas. And I thought, why did he tell me he's going to a medical missions workshop in Dallas?
Divine
Well,
intervention.
well, that next weekend, I went to that medical missions workshop in Dallas. My husband had only been dead 6 months, and I was struggling. And after I got there, I thought, what in the world am I doing here? Well, my husband had made some business trips to Haiti, and I saw a sign that said medical mission to Haiti. And I thought, oh, I will honor him, and I'll go to Haiti, and that will be great. So I walked up to that little booth, and the young man introduced himself and said, and what is your interest in short-term missions? And I said, I don't know. I'm a doctor in a small town in West Texas. My husband died 6 months ago, and I'm just trying to figure out what God wants me to do with the rest of my life. And I started crying, and I walked away, and I thought, this is not for me. And then I saw this sign that said Africa, and I knew I was not going to go to Africa. So I was actually walking toward the door when this rich voice behind me said, hello, my name is Kelly Hamby. What's your name? And I turned around, and his smiling wife was standing there next to him, and I introduced myself, and they said, let us tell you about our mission work in Zambia. And I said, don't waste your time. If I go on a mission trip, I'm going to be taking grandchildren, and I need to go someplace that's very safe. Well, in unison, they said, oh, Zambia is very safe. We take our grandchildren every year.
So
So that's how I got hooked into going to Zambia.
I love that
yeah.
story.
So that's how we met. And then what happened about 5 years after that? So Sandy and we met, we were friends, not close friends at all because we were busy, but we had met. So we really, really feel like we really connected in Zambia. And then about 5 years after that, my husband was playing faculty tennis, and he had an accident and had died within 24 hours of a massive brain hemorrhage.
Oh my
And
God.
it was like, oh my goodness, because we'd done everything together. And so, and I was struggling like Sandy too, in our different ways to adjust to this, to losing my husband. And then I get a phone call about a month afterwards. She calls me, and she comes on the phone, and she says, Ellie, I have a deal for you. And I'm thinking, what? You had a deal for me? And of course I said, what? Well, she said, the hospital in Abilene has asked me to set up their geriatric clinic. And I've accepted that position, but I don't want to leave Eastland, which is 56 miles away. So,
and I don't want to drive back and forth every night.
Right.
So I'm looking for a bed a couple of nights a week. If you would just give me a bed, I'll take you out to eat. Well, I said yes, and that's what started the whole thing. We late at night, because we're both
Workaholic.
and drink lots of coffee, stay up till 12, 1 o'clock. We go to bed earlier anymore, but
Yeah.
but back then, that was when we were in our 60s.
We were young.
Yeah, we were quite young. And so that's how we realized quickly, well, we have two totally different personalities. Our outlook on the world and humanity is the same, because we are just positive people. Both of us do that. We just love people in general.
Yeah.
And we quickly realized, and then when we made the first trip, the Trans-Siberian, hey, we got this. We're good. And so that's how we did it. But we do, one of the big things that we do talk about, as everyone has tragedy in their life, okay?
Yes.
Sandy and I both had 2 devastating losses. But that chapter, that door is closed in our lives.
Right.
Kelly's never going to walk through the front door again, and Donald's never going to walk through Sandy's front door again.
And my husband's never walking through again either.
Right.
Yeah.
But God has opened windows out there. All you have to do is just look at them and walk right on in and see what life has for you. So what we had out of 2 terribly devastating losses, we have a beautiful friendship.
And a beautiful life.
Yes.
Yes.
I
Right.
mean, adventure after adventure. Do you both have children?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
What do your kids and grandchildren think of your lives and your adventures?
Ellie, you tell them what you're.
Well, mine are used to me. I'm a little bit wilder and do more things. Like I do
Uh-huh.
zip line, 6 lines, and it's phenomenal zip lining thing in New Zealand. You know,
Yeah.
I like the snake wrap around my body, the python, and all that kind of stuff. And
I'm an
Sandy,
Ellie. I'm an
Yeah.
Ellie.
No, you're
yeah.
Ellie.
And Sandy says
I tell her,
I-
I'm a doctor. I practice preventive medicine.
so she has a cup of coffee and has a good book or something while I'm out doing but that's okay. We're different personalities. It doesn't mean that each of you have to enjoy the same thing. We've learned how
Absolutely.
to adjust to each of our things and give each other space
Right.
and
Yeah.
respect. But my family are used to me going and doing and being very independent. I've actually gone over to over 120 countries, and some of those I've done by myself. So
Yes.
they're not as they aren't. They're very excited and they're very much involved in what everything is going now. They're so excited about the books, and
Right.
they're one of our biggest fans. And our great
Oh,
grandkids, our little granddaughter, no, Nana on TV whenever she would say. But Sandy's were a little more protective of their mother, right? So you tell them about that one.
Well,
Yeah.
one of my children especially is very protective. And my son, the year we were on the Trans-Siberian Railway, well, as a joke, Ellie was sending out an email and she said, we've just been interviewed by the KGB and we may have to appear to witness a crime. If you don't hear from us in the next few days, we might be in a Siberian jail.
Prison. Yeah.
Oh
And
my
so
God.
when the train took off, we had no internet for 3 days.
And so Sandy's son was on the verge of calling Interpol. I know he was right next
Oh
to
my
me.
goodness.
And mine were like, okay, she'll come back. I know she was just joking about the Siberian prison. And one time when we were sleeping in the desert, my daughter said, Mom, I just hope they really think that you're too old to be a spy. And,
Oh.
of course, Mrs. Polifax, Sandy and I, when we were young, this is another funny thing. When we were young, one of our favorite books was that Mrs.
The
Polifax.
amazing Mrs. Polifax.
And she was a spy. She was in her 70s.
Oh.
And so we just loved, when we were little, we loved that
See,
book.
it was kismet that you were meant to be together, right?
Yeah.
Yes. And I love what you said about, it's okay to want to do different things, because I think so many people who love to travel and are more prone to solo travel, but they still want to be with their friends, they're worried that they have to be joined at the hip. And I always say,
Right.
no, 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 no,
No.
no, no.
Right.
Never. You
Mhm.
can be with someone all the time as long as you want to, but you don't have to. I mean, you
That's
just
right.
get to,
That's right.
you should be you. One of the things that I absolutely adore about both of you is you are proving my point, which is that women of a certain age, despite how society wants us to shrink and disappear and become
Mhm.
invisible, we will not become invisible. We are invincible. And
That's
that's
right.
what both of
Yes.
you are,
Thank
is
you.
you are
Mhm.
invincible. It's amazing to hear your story. And what's it like doing all like the press junkets and all these things that you're doing?
So the funny thing is, we started off with just our Facebook, Instagram, and we had our website. We were doing blogs.
Right, right.
Blogs were bigger actually on our first one, then podcast that has come into being now. So we wrote blogs and things, and when we first started on our trip,
On the around the world.
around the world trip, where we never had the internet and nobody paid anything about us
Right.
when we were doing those other trips. But on the round the world, the week before, we were speaking at a local retirement center. The Sandy been the doctor there before,
Yeah.
and just about our trip. And they invited the local TV station, and they ran it as a feature that night. And we thought, oh, that's nice.
Yeah.
Yay. Though then about a week later, we're at the Dallas Fort Worth airport. Actually, just picked a boarding pass, and I looked down at my phone, and it was NBC 5 Dallas. I said, Sandy, that's the biggest TV station in Dallas. And I said, hello, this is Ellie Hamby. And they said, oh, this is, NBC 5 Dallas. We have a crew on the way. Where are you? We said, oh, well, we found this out a lot. This is the way things kind of just happen.
Yeah, right. It's just
And
like,
they said, and we said, well, we just got our boarding pass. They said, well, can you wait? We said, sure, because Sandy and I do
We get there 3 hours early.
on international flight. We just would like to get there and then chill in the, but give me that boarding pass in my hand, and we're happy campers. So then then they featured us that night. Then we arrived in Buenos Aires on our way to Antarctica because that was our first stop. And I looked down at my emails, and there's an email from CBS News, the number one,
national.
and they said, we just heard about this story. Please do not talk to ABC, Fox, NBC, CNN before you talk to us. And so then sure, and so we did an interview with them, and they set it up. Then when we got to London, I think they were going to make sure that we really were the real deal, because we had we're just the first day on our trip. And so they had their London-based crew. Raimi, their foreign correspondent, who you see on CBS News, were there. And so they filmed us for about 4 hours, and CBS ran 2 segments, and then they did the CBS Morning News. Once it went on CBS, it hit the international wires. And for so long, it was just that media, the TV, the international media, because we started getting calls from all over the world, and we did shows, tapings on our trip and things. And then we did have someone who helped us with our social media, because I would send everything and write stuff, but getting all the time and setting it all up, I just said, because it would take too long to do that. And then she was the one actually had the idea that maybe we should do a TikTok, because she was doing reels. And so she did about 3 weeks before our trip was over, she started doing TikTok. And I think within 2 weeks, one TikTok video got 6.4 million views. And that just set us off. Then, we're not huge on social media, but like on TikTok, we have over 70,000 followers. And
that's Instagram,
40. But, but there's tons out there, a whole lot bigger than we are. Tons.
But I doubt there's tons out there that are a whole lot bigger than you are that are in their 80s.
Yes, that's true. That's true.
Yeah.
That's what has made the news.
Then when we arrived, and when it was brought home to us, we arrive in LAX from our trip. We have our T-shirts on. We walk out of the arrivals hall. This lady comes running up to us. You're the TikTok traveling grannies. I follow you. And we thought, oh my goodness. And then, of course, we took our picture with her. We had our shirts on. And then just 2 minutes later, here comes someone else. You're the TikTok traveling grannies. And Sandy and I looked at each other, and we said, what has just happened? We had no clue what was we were even after that, then we were on Saturday Night Live, we were a joke on that.
2 81-year-old women have traveled the world in 80 days after the post office lost their ashes.
And then the Circumnavigation Club, which is kind of an unknown club, but a very prestigious one. We were thrilled to become honorary members of that one.
No kidding.
Right.
So I'll ask you first, Sandy, what is the number one lesson that traveling has taught you?
Oh, wow. The number one lesson that traveling has taught me, truly, again, as I said a minute ago, is enjoy the moment. And, when people ask us, how long did you have to rest up when you got home from your trip? We didn't. And I explained it to people this way. People who go on a vacation get tired.
That's right.
We don't go on a vacation. We go on an adventure. And every adventure just revs us up for the next adventure.
Words that speak to me. How about you, Ellie?
Yes, I think one of the things I learned, and particularly on our around the world adventure and any of our travels really, is just the humanity. I mean, Sandy and I both love people, And really connecting with other cultures is one of the most, it opens my mind, it expands my thinking so much more. I have a
Right.
bigger vision of what the world is all about than if
Yeah.
I was just in the United States and only being with my friends. But interacting closely and making really good friends
Yes.
with people from other cultures, races, religious groups, it
Yes.
doesn't matter to us.
Right.
God created everyone, as you
Right.
said. We all have the same feelings. We just may have been, by whatever chance we were born
Right.
here, but we're still the same, and it doesn't matter the political situation or the government. We once had a young man from Iran who we met going from Turkey, because what was so funny, on our trip to Middle East, we arrived in Turkey from Romania, where we'd been doing Bible classes and some spiritual things with ladies and teens in Romania, and
Okay.
we took the train to Turkey, and then we get there, and then we're going on. We think we're going on to Aleppo. We think the train's going there, and we're going to get us a ticket, but no, it only stops in Adana, Turkey. So we get to Adana, and we talk to the people at this little hotel, and we say, "Hey, we want to go to Aleppo tomorrow," and they said, "Oh no, you can't get to Aleppo in one day.
Right.
It won't. You can't do that. So you'll have to spend the night." Okay, fine.
You have to take a public bus.
Yeah, we're taking public buses, because we're not on tours or anything. We're public buses. And so we take this public bus that morning thinking, okay, we're still confident it's going to work out, because we just always feel like
Yeah.
it's going to work out. Well,
Yeah.
this is so hilarious. We're up there at the front. So a phone call comes on his cell phone. Turns around, he says, "Sandy." Hands Sandy the phone. And Sandy says, "Hello." And
Yeah.
the guy, and I can hear the guy, because he says, "You want to go to Aleppo?" And Sandy says, "Yes."
And he
And
says, "Today?"
yeah, and he said 12 noon. And Sandy said, and you said, "Okay."
Okay.
And then he hangs up. We had no clue who this was to this day. And we get to Aleppo, and what was there, Sandy?
There was a man standing there with a badge on, ready to put us on the other bus to go straight to Aleppo.
And the bus was running, 2 seats left on the bus. And on that bus was this young man from Iran. And Sandy, this is typical our traveling. Okay. Sandy gets up and stands up in the bus and says, because there's no tourists, it's just locals, "Anyone here speak English?" Of course, several guys raise their hand. Here's these 2 old American women wanting to speak to someone. And then we got really good friends with Yasser from Iran. And he was in Turkey, where he'd been working on his doctorate in architectural.
Yeah.
And he was the one that got us through the Syrian border. We took 2 hours but he was amazing. But he made a statement to us. He said, "You Americans, you view the world different than the world views you." He said, "The rest of the world, this is how we perceive the United States. If America does not like the government, the people don't like the people." Like you take into the Muslim world, if the American government doesn't like it, then all those people in that country are our enemies. But the rest of the world, we may not like your government, but we like your people. And that was just like an eye opener to us of how the rest of the world views. And we have tried.
Yeah.
We just like the people. We do not care where you're from, what your political view, or the color of your skin. We just like people.
Oh, Ellie, that is one of the most perfect ways to circle
Yes.
back to this whole story, because you're right. We do that as Americans, and we listen to a lot of sensationalized news and distorted news and, all of that. And we decide that the people are horrible because of whatever's going on. And that's not true.
That's not
I
That's
true.
not
mean,
true. Mm-hmm.
it's just not. I mean, there's bad people here,
Oh, yes.
Right.
There's bad
Right.
people everywhere, but the
Right.
good people far outweigh the bad.
Yeah,
When
absolutely.
when we were in Jordan, Ellie went ahead of me. That's a long story, but she went ahead of me to get some early morning shots, and I was waiting for our guide. Well, there was a guide there who became our guide. Anyway, he and I had a lot of time to visit, and knowing that I'm from America, and knowing that we had been traveling, he asked me what my view was of the people I met in other countries. And just, I mean, off the top of my head, he asked me this question I had to answer. And I said, well, it's been my observation that it doesn't matter what country, and this is what you've been saying the whole time. It doesn't matter what country it is. Mothers are mothers. Fathers are fathers.
Yes.
Toddlers are toddlers. And teenagers are teenagers.
Oh, yes, they are. Yes, they are.
And he loved that. And he said, if you ever come back to Jordan, you will be a welcome guest in my home.
And Jordan's one of my most favorite places in the world, and I've only been there once.
Yeah, we love Jordan.
Yeah, we like Jordan. We've been there actually twice, haven't we?
I actually want to go back to Jordan and
Right.
do a much more immersive
Right.
trip and really. So you've been to 9 wonders of the world.
On
Right.
just on that trip,
But
we've been to a lot more.
We've been to a lot more. Right.
What's your favorite wonder of the world that you visited?
One of my favorite world wonders was the Great Wall of China.
Me too.
Really?
Yes.
I went with my oldest daughter when she adopted her first child from China.
Oh my.
And we went a week early before it was time to join the adoption crew so that we could tour. And oh my goodness, going to the Great Wall of China, I just absolutely loved that.
It was. And to be able to see like the 3 other countries.
Yes, it was just, the whole thing was just amazing.
Yeah. Now, I don't love the story of how it was built.
Yeah.
But I absolutely, I mean, it's one of those places I feel like everyone should see at least once in their life if they can. But yeah, I'm with you there. How about you, Ellie?
I would have to say Victoria Falls. My house is an hour and a half from Victoria Falls. I have been there so many times, and it is awe-inspiring to see those falls. And that actually has to be my number one world wonder. So Sandy's got a man-made, and I have a natural. So
Right. But either way, they're both spectacular. So, well, I cannot thank you enough. We are going to make sure that all of our listeners buy your amazing book.
Yes, we really want to emphasize, our book, because we are just really, really excited. And we're even on our book, even a percentage of our sales will go to Zambia Medical Mission to help the people.
Oh my goodness,
Zambia.
how amazing. Yes, it's going to be a bestseller.
Well, we don't know, but we're along for the ride. It's been a great thing with our speaking and things. What's been so uplifting to us is that people tell us we've actually touched their lives. We've changed their lives. And if we can write a book that would help someone to have a better attitude about life and the people they encounter along the way, and just open their hearts to the world and their arms to the people that cross their path, this world would be a better place. And we hope our book can accomplish that.
And I am sure that it's going to.
Thank you.
And I am so grateful that you agreed to be my guest today because
thank you for the invite.
I want to be your best friend. I want to go with you everywhere. I'm really thinking I'm going to have to come visit and be part of the medical mission in Zambia because
Absolutely.
Fantastic.
We do 6 days of clinics, and we will see maybe 2,000 to 3,000 people a day coming in wheelbarrows and backs of
I absolutely. I was in healthcare for 30 years, so.
Oh, you're kidding? Oh my goodness!
No, I'm a respiratory therapist, so I believe me, I would love to do that. And control your breathing people.
Yeah.
But
Wow.
I cannot thank you enough. And so I have one last question. 81, we're not, and still on the run. 82, we're not through. 84, there's so much more.
Hey, that's a good one. Hey, you may be the winner.
You're welcome.
Let me write that down. 84, there's so much more.
There
That's
you
cute.
go.
I love it.
Actually, that's really cute. Thank you.
Yeah.
Hey.
Exactly. I love your spirit. I love your essence, everything about it. And I know our women are going to be over the moon to see this and listen to you because you're like my heroes.
Yeah, thank
Really?
you.
Thank you so
Yeah.
much.
And our book will be available in 4 formats. It will be the hardcover. There will be a soft cover that's big print. And
Oh,
so that
fabulous.
is very, very nice. And then it will be on Kindle and then the audio book.
Well, I'm really excited. I'm going to be really telling everyone. I have my private Facebook group for Sisterhood Travels has
Mhm.
45,000 women,
Wow.
highly engaged women, and we're
Yes.
going to
Wow.
make sure they all know about the book.
Oh,
So,
thank you.
Thank
We'd
you.
appreciate that.
yeah.
Mhm.
But thank you so much. I know you probably have lots of things to do, but please stay well, and I hope we can be in touch and I can hear about more of your adventures.
Yes,
you
we've
so much.
taken 2 trips since then to South America and Oceania. We went piranha fishing, alligator hunting, and
Oh,
swimming with the pink dolphins in the Amazon. So,
And
oh my
kayaking,
goodness.
yeah,
kayaking. Yeah.
yeah, kayaking
Yeah.
in Galapagos.
Yeah. Oh
Yeah,
my
we got
God.
more. We have more adventures to discuss.
Yes, 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 yes. So
All
much
right.
more.
Thanks.
Thank you, Ellie. Thank you,
Thank you,
Sandy.
dear.
Bye.
Blowing you a kiss. If you like this show, please be sure to like us, follow us, subscribe to us, give us a review, because it really helps grow our podcast.